Justice for all.
Thank you.
Geez, I thought the outlaw did.
Kaiser,
Present.
Not working now.
Klein,
Here.
Supervisor,
Here.
Clerk's here. I move that we add 3 things to the agenda. And you'll see them at the bottom of the page.
You voted, you had a board vote to say you cannot do that
You have to read it again. because
10
it says-
10 days in
because it's-
advance.
You have to read that again, because it says the only other way to add things to the agenda is by a majority vote of the board. It does say that also. It does
The
say
only
that
other-
also.
Don't shout at me.
Well, don't lie.
I'm not lying.
Yes,
Ed.
you are lying, because it said by a majority vote of the board.
Stop it,
Go-
Ed. You
go
said
look at
people
it.
had to do this 10 days in advance. So
Order.
just drop it
Okay.
and stop shouting.
Point of order. You cannot add things to a special meeting that was set for 18 hours prior to, or any other date prior to.
That is true, Brian. Yeah.
Yes, it is true by ONA
Well, that
rules.
might be, well, in terms of the, in terms of
Old
what she
age
said, that's not
society
true.
and stuff.
Right.
Well, it is. It is.
Whose body's picking up
Because you're
to beat
opposing
the other
enemy.
person up or something, I don't know.
And add
Well, whatever, it's the ONA
Okay,
rules.
so we're not gonna talk about the pavilion today. Oh, boy, that'll make me.
You can sit here if you like, you need a chair.
Okay, I move we adopt the noxious weed ordinance.
No, we haven't.
We have public comment.
We haven't even approved the agenda yet.
Right.
Oh, that's it.
Correct.
Okay, I move we approve the agenda without the additions.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed. Okay, public comment. I hope everybody sticks to comments and the questions. This kind of not a time, it's a business meeting, but if you can please stick to comments and not questions to engage the board at this time. Good. More than willing to hear any concerns that you have. Go ahead, if you would. Oh, well, we can go with Craig Smith.
Phil signed up first, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. In the obnoxious weed issue, on page 3, section B, the ordinance shall be administered and enforced by a person designated by the township board as the trustee noxious weed commissioner, another level of whatever, by the ordinance enforcement officer of the township, or such other person as the township board may designate from time to time. Somebody would have to be very sharp to be able to designate it with regards to time, know what the rules and regulations are, and specifically what they encompass. And as far as the noxious weed commissioner, I don't know who that would be, and is it gonna cost any money? By the ordinance enforcement officer would be Donnie Edwards. So is this rolled into his position?
As far as I'm concerned, it is. But I don't know what, we don't have to count it.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't, but it would
It's
be
it's not my resolution, it's not my proposal.
Okay. On page 5 of 5, in default whereof, notice is hereby given, the township of Crowley may enter the premises and conduct the same as frequently as necessary during 2019 to comply with the foregoing resolutions, and may charge the cost thereof against the property owner with election taxes, so on and so. To have the guys that are currently doing our parking and so on, that can't keep up with everything that they're doing now, I don't know how you expect them to do this as well. And why can't that be jobbed out to somebody else to do it? It would be probably a lot less expensive. They would carry their own insurance. There are a lot of people around town that do that for a living. Might be better that they deal with this under your supervision. On regards to the subpoena fees, what was this action for? Because it really doesn't say what it's for.
It's to recover $185 that we passed before with the money to file the suit. And now there needs to be 6 witnesses who need to be subpoenaed.
Okay. And you have mileage on here, $34.50. Is that for those individuals?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't agree with any of that, so let that stand as it may. That's your decision. With regards to the deputy clerk, I asked you for BS&A accounting and payroll. I thought we already got BS&A approved. Did that not cover the entire package? And if not, why not? Why are we doing this
Just
piecemeal
water.
if we have requirements?
Just water and taxes, didn't include the clerk stuff. Why am I answering all these questions?
I don't know. It's appreciated that we hear the answer. On number 4 on the agenda, $40 for lunch and so on, and $5 for police report. What's the police report?
For the same case.
Okay. And number 7, $300 for Rick and Bruno to attend the assessor's technician training. Does that include lodging and a per diem or not?
Nope.
That should be discussed, don't you think? That the per diems can be anything you want them to do if they're not assigned and limited. What else do I have on here? Oh. Let me find it. On the resolution censuring Nancy Kaiser for using profanity on the 15th, I find that interesting that it's already voted on. Ayes, Coomer, Klein, Wojcik, yes. Nays, Kaiser. Absent, Trustee Freeman. And it happened on what day? I don't understand that because
It is very plainly a mistake, and we didn't have any meeting.
okay, so this was totally erroneous.
That's right.
Okay, that's all I have for the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Phil. Mr. Smith.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, I was placed on the planning commission. I moved back from Hillman, found out that I had cancer, resigned from the planning commission, and then after surgery and recovery time, I was placed back on the planning commission. Since then, I found out that there's been several untruths about the supervisor. He was not the author of the grant for the dock. It was Susan Reed and Mary Dugas and several other people. So I'd like to see that they get credit for it. Recently, we've had the Vet Fest through a grant from Home Depot. We had a stage built, and now it seems that the supervisor wants to tear the stage out away from community use. A lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of, I'm aware of now. And because of that, I'd like to see that somebody make a motion for non-confidence of the supervisor and that he be replaced by a superintendent. That's all I got.
If I may, it would be Michael Wordsmith's board that the park project grant from the DNR, that came from that. Mary and Susan and them, they did the grant work for the pavilion where you would like to put your stage.
Okay.
Thank you. And then you deserve credit.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you.
Is that everybody? Is that everybody?
Yes. Although, yeah, your statements weren't accurate, but that's fine.
But he asked for credit for people that deserve credit, and I thank him for it.
And we have.
All right.
Okay, now I guess it's noxious weed ordinance time. I move we adopt the noxious weed ordinance.
Okay, motion, is there a second? Open discussion?
I'll second it, just to open the discussion. Would you like to go first?
I will wait. Go ahead if you're ready.
I want to make sure that this is actually well defined, that it's meant to be used for the downtown district, not outlying people like down 487. I think it should be the presentation of the community, the town, and, you know, like where, the old, medical marijuana place is. You know, I know he has a bad taste in his mouth for Atlanta and Briley and the whole thing. He's not gonna mow that grass. So if it does get mowed, just so we're presenting the best show we can to the people coming in the community, I don't think it's fair that the taxpayers should have to pay for it. This ordinance was a blanket ordinance that was given out to any township by MTA. It's not plagiarism to use it. It was a team of lawyers that wrote it, and they said, if you don't have this, you should have it. Because that way you're not paying for this. The person that owns that piece of property is paying for this. It's not to be belligerent or hostile or anything. There are places that, you know, up until recently weren't getting mowed at all, and the grass was taller than I am. That's not what we need here. If we're gonna ask people to come spend their money in the community, we should look like we're ready for it. So that's my only thing about this. I hope it doesn't spread any farther than the downtown district. You know, I don't think, you know, a 200-acre field out by Davis Field should have to be mowed. It's not to cut people's flowers down that are taller than 8 inches. It's just simply to mow the grass and have a good presentation.
All right, this will be, my comment here is this will be very difficult to enforce, for one. And what you need to do is clean up all the junk and debris that is in the alley and other places in this town. And that is already in the ordinance, but nothing's ever done about that. And it is very unsightly in the historical district, all right? And that's what I have to say about that. So, to the chair.
Thank you.
You got a question out here.
No, we don't take,
You don't.
this is a business meeting.
Well, I need a copy of it because your garden club is getting ready to quit on you.
Here,
Really?
would you give Mary mine so she can work with the garden club?
I need a copy to take to the garden club.
You may have it.
It does say in there that it's not flowers and things like that.
Okay. I know they're
But
ready
they
to
still
quit.
need to know because they do a beautiful
Right,
job.
no,
here.
absolutely. They came to VFW, did a great job.
Okay.
Mhm.
My comments is that we live in a rural area. I don't know how we would enforce this across the board, even in the Old Town District, because the road commission does not go all the way, and cut the weeds all the way to the property lines. They cut a little bit off the edges of the road. The property lines stop at a certain space, and there's usually an area there where nothing is cut. I don't know if you're cutting in the easement, whether the county road commission would accept the bill from the township. That situation is here and there.
The downtown district has curbs and sidewalks. We're
Not
talking
everywhere.
behind the sidewalks.
Not everywhere. There's areas and spaces that either the landowner would have to cut the easement or the county would have to cut the easement. It's just really, I agree with
It's
Nancy, it would be
difficult.
difficult to enforce it because of our rural nature. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Not that it's a good thing to try to get everybody to clean up the areas. I don't know how to do that. This is an attempt to do that. It's a great attempt. I just don't think that it's refined enough to do what we want it to do and not do what we don't intend it to do. Personally. Do you have any comments on it?
No,
Okay.
except, I think some of the objections would be resolved if the last page was changed some, but that's another time and another place.
Excuse me, I was not here. What area does this cover?
The owner and occupant of land on which noxious weeds, as defined by the ordinance and statute, are found growing, excepting those incidental to those which may be growing small grain or vegetable crop. The owner and occupant of lots within platted subdivisions. Unplatted lands with a dwelling or other building other than an accessory building will be cut for a depth of 165 feet around the dwelling. That's what it says.
So that covers subdivisions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the part I got out of it.
The Old Town District here is all subdivided and platted now. And there are a few subdivisions, but some of them have empty lots, many empty lots. It would be difficult even just restricting it to specific subdivisions.
Yeah, I understand that. I have a home across the street and over, nobody's cut the grass in
If they were
5
smaller
years,
sections,
6
I think
years.
I'd agree more.
And it's just, like
But when
he
you
said,
look
it's
at
as tall as I am. I
School
just,
building there, a field that size, you know, walk past there, tell me it looks homey. You know, look next to Jim McCormick's building uptown, you know, when the grass is this high, it just doesn't look presentable. I'm sorry, it's one of those things that I understand this might be hard to work on, and it might take a little bit of time to get this thing right where it actually applies right, but I still think that there's some value in this.
Might need to be revised a little. We can go over it again, but I think it's good the way it is. You know, I mean, at least it's a start of nothing else.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Just discussing it where it raises awareness, everybody take a look at their lots.
the township where I come from, they have an ordinance too. If it gets so long, it's automatically cut and it's charged, it's put on the people's taxes. And I just live in a township, I don't live in a city, so. But Carlton, where I live between Saginaw and Bay City, if it gets so long and somebody calls and it's in a subdivision, it's automatically cut, so. They usually just cut it once in the summer to keep the weeds down, so.
Well, yeah, there are places in what is called our historical district that are not occupied, and there are larger plots that are in that it is, it's pretty much to ask to have them mow that all the time, because it isn't the residents. But I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Well, let's roll call vote because it's a resolution.
Okay, Kaiser,
No.
Klein,
Yes.
Wojcik,
No.
Holmberg, yes. So it's tied 2-2.
Okay, so the motion failed.
So
But I would like to make an additional motion.
So that particular motion is tabled.
Dead.
I would like to make
Failed.
another motion regarding this, is that we have, create a committee to look into this and try to refine a resolution to target what we want. It may just be a main street, it might be a certain area.
I'll second that.
Yeah, it needs
I'll
to.
help with that,
Hmm?
sure.
Should the planning commission not do this as opposed to another committee?
Can you do that? Could you actually amend your motion to send it to the planning commission?
Sure.
And
I think that would be a plus.
I do like that idea. I sit on the planning commission, and, you know, I think the involvement there would be great.
Yeah, I think it should go to the planning commission, and they should work that out and apply it to our little area here. And consider all the properties that are large, even in the
Yeah, I think
Old
that,
Town District.
something like that.
And
should
address
be-
the other things that are an eyesore around town, get that cleaned up.
Something like that should be
Do
stated
that.
and noted in our master plan and also, so people are
Okay.
aware when they come in and take a look at our community.
Shall we vote on that?
Good idea. Okay.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Sorry for the additional rating.
Well, I'll live, but it's funny, even though it's my left arm, it makes it a little harder, I don't know, but anyway, I'll live. Okay, we don't need a roll call, do we?
No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? Motion
Everybody
passed.
voted yes?
Yes. Motion passed.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Subpoena fees. I'm assuming this is the clerk?
Yeah, that's what's needed if we wanna go forward. And if we don't wanna go forward, then it'll stop, because we need 6 witnesses, so whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, waste of money. You can't see me do something that I did not do. But if you want to waste township money doing this, you will.
Are these costs recoverable?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, whatever you pay to the court or witnesses is definitely recoverable.
Then you'll pay for mine too.
Whether I agree or I don't agree, I think we have far bigger things to worry about. We've already pursued this once, and it didn't come out with the result that I think it should have. But that being said, we need to stop dwelling on some negativity here, and we gotta start moving on to bigger, better things. Every agenda seems to have something that is just red button on it, you know, and all it does is it defeats the purpose of what we need to really be working on. In my opinion, I don't support it. It's a waste of money. I might completely disagree, but at the same time, we have bigger things to do, and I would like to be able to move forward and start gaining some traction somewhere else.
Okay, it dies.
Shall we vote?
Nobody
There's no motion or second.
nobody made a motion, including me. So, it just flat out dies. Unless
Okay.
somebody wants to say something about it. Okay.
Explanation of Briley Township Park Ordinance.
Okay. This is a resolution explaining the Parks and Recreation ordinance.
Do you have that?
You can
I'm
read-
looking
you can
for it.
read
and
there
so
what
is
it
I do.
says.
I do.
Okay.
You can read there what it says, the park ordinance says now. And then you can read what the clarification is. The way the actual ordinance looks like if you have a party, I mean,
Sit
a
down.
picnic with 10 people, you have to ask permission.
Well,
So this is to clarify that that's not true, that you have to have at least 16 people. So, what do you think?
this is restricting people's ability to use the park. It belongs to them, and if they want to have, their family picnicking in the park, and if there's 16, not 15, then you want them to be charged or be bothered. And it's like any series of couples could go there and have a picnic. They have more than 15, and it's like other townships do this. If, for instance, a church wants to have a family day in the park, they have a family day in the park. They don't restrict anybody from, other people from using the bathrooms or anything else, and they are not charged. The park belongs to them. They live there, they pay taxes. Also, they'll charge you just $25 if you're a non-resident to use the park, okay? And you don't no one restricts other people for using our pavilion either, not even if they have a family party or a graduation party or something in there. No, they never say no to anybody that wants to use the restrooms. I don't see why that people cannot use their own park without, and who's gonna monitor them, go down there and count? Oh, violation. I mean, come on, people, it's their park. Mr. Street has a comment and he works there.
Did you notice that this is liberalizing the current ordinance? Right now, if there's 2 people, they have to ask permission of the township. Now, that's not right. So we need to change that to something else, so.
That has never been an ordinance.
I figured 15 was a fair amount, and then they only have to ask permission. It doesn't say they're charged. It says that they have to ask permission.
And why should they ask permission to use their own park? And I've not seen that ordinance, and I was on the planning commission for quite some time too. But you need to get rid of that, because this park belongs to these people.
Do they not
Belongs
need to
to-
check to make sure that maybe the pavilion isn't rented?
I think the reason for this is to avoid conflicts where 2 parties go in and try to use the same space. And so that they don't have a whole lot of time invested in it, and they get there, somebody else is in there. So that the township knows when they come in and they say, well, we wanted to have a big this, and, well, somebody's already using that space. And it's just to avoid the conflict.
Never, that hasn't happened. But Jay works there, so can we please hear from him?
I wouldn't see any reason why you'd have to rent the park unless they're using the kitchen
Right.
or if they're using power.
Power.
So I think it doesn't matter if there's 100 people there, you know, it's a public park.
It belongs to him.
Let's let them use it as they need, as long as they don't require a kitchen or a garbage detail or anything like that, that I would say would just.
Right.
Leave 'em alone.
use it.
Well,
But if,
There's
but if
sending
you're planning an
invitations out.
event, would you not want to know whether or not the
Invitations.
park was being rented, or there was something else going on that might?
I would like a
See,
notification
but
of an
we're-
event, that would be about it, but I don't see why we have to
That's
charge.
right, that's what we're talking
That's
about.
what
Okay.
we're talking about. We're not talking about.
I'm in
charging.
agreement with Jay here. Let the people use the park.
I would get rid of a people count on this. I would like to keep the stipulation about, you know, permission, and not so much permission, just notification.
Notification.
Only because that way if somebody has rented the pavilion and the kitchen and everything else, and they spent the money to do all of that, that there isn't gonna be that conflict. Don't
There's a
call it
kitchen in
permission
the
because
park.
it is their park. Call it a
There's a kitchen in
notification.
the park.
But, but
Oh, in
look,
that pavilion?
here's the problem.
Oh, okay.
The people, you're aware of who is in the pavilion because they rented it, all right?
Right, but
And
now a
there's
birthday party shows up
anybody-
with 30 kids and they're set up in there before the people that rented it. How do you
Well, they're-
how do you combat that?
They don't set up in a hall that's rented. No, if they want to use the rest of the park, that's nobody's business but their own, all right? They know that pavilion is rented.
How do they know that?
Put a sign up this.
Well,
Oh,
because
okay,
they
there you go.
put, they put
Easy.
signs up, you
Oh,
see.
okay.
The people that are having the party put a sign up.
Okay.
That, you know, it's somebody's graduation or it's a family reunion. And they always post that out there so people will know to come into there.
So we
See.
could always make up signs that say reserved, and if you know there is gonna be an event,
The night
you
before.
could tape it up or whatever, absolutely.
Just leave it
Okay.
to the people,
Yeah,
they
we're
take
not
care
trying
of
to be
that.
more restrictive, we're trying to make it more orderly and.
The restricting people from using their park is inappropriate.
We're not trying to restrict anybody,
Well-
we're just trying to avoid a conflict.
I'm gonna
There
take
has
a-
never been a conflict. People
Well, I
can
can give
read.
you one conflict that came up from Snowdrift. The t-shirt, people were gonna be in the pavilion was actually already rented, and instead of it being a conflict, I mean, we just worked together, cause it was cold as snot that day, and it worked out for both of us, because the more body heat in that building, the better we were.
Sure.
But, you know, they really did believe they were gonna be in there, and so did we. So the VFW and Legion, when we went to host our breakfast, you know, we told them, no problem, we made sure they had adequate room, we had room for what we were doing, and it was fine. But, you know, if that was any other situation, I mean, you know, how's that gonna
Other people would
work?
do the same thing.
I'd like to hope so.
Hopefully.
I mean, other people would do the same
I'm
thing.
gonna-
It is
I'm
just,
according to what you wanted to do, I think, where it says obtain a permit or permission, I put, shall first notify the township.
I think we can completely get rid of that. I think with Jay's point, we can completely get rid of this whole resolution, because if by the township, it is truly rented, all he has to do is put up signs saying reserved, and that will solve the conflict.
No, it won't. The reason it won't is because right now it says anybody with a picnic has to get permission, and that's
That's
what
what's
I'm
Oh,
trying to change.
well, I think we should get rid of that whole,
Yeah, that's
That's
what I'm
right.
trying to change.
strike it all.
no, that's not it. But bring it to a vote, all right? Because good points have been made here, and we'll just vote on it to see how this goes.
Well, if we're gonna, we need to either adopt this, or we need to get rid of the thing that says anybody with a picnic has to get permission.
All right,
which,
motion
one way or the other.
Motion to remove the picnic restrictions from the ordinance.
I'll second that.
Well, we already, did we have a motion?
The other did not
No.
come to a motion yet.
No, we did
Well,
not.
I wanna
All right.
finish reading this, because
Correct, this was typed up, and I don't have the original here, but,
yeah,
I think what we can do is get those changes made and get it back to